Hades' name has been carried for thousands of years, yet few know the real story behind the ruler of the dead. He is neither a devil nor a tyrant. His realm is not a place of fire. His throne was not won through conquest, but through an event that reshaped the cosmos itself. To understand Hades, we begin long before he had a kingdom, back when the world was ruled by another power entirely. Long before the Olympians, the Titans governed the universe. Kronos sat upon the throne, ruling over heaven and earth, but he lived in constant fear of a prophecy that foretold he would be overthrown by one of his own children. To prevent this, he consumed each newborn as soon as it entered the world. Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades and Poseidon, each swallowed and trapped within him. Hades' existence began in darkness, not the underworld, but within the very body of Kronos, silent, waiting, unable to escape. The cycle ended with the sixth child, Zeus. Hidden on Crete by their mother Rhea, Zeus grew in secret until he became strong enough to challenge the Titan king. When the time came, Zeus forced Kronos to disgorge his swallowed siblings. Hades emerged fully grown, stepping into the world for the first time since his birth. This moment reunified the 6 children who would become the Olympians. Yet it was only the beginning. The Titanomachy began, a 10-year conflict between the new gods and the old. Hades played a crucial role. Zeus commanded the skies, Poseidon commanded the seas, and Hades, equipped with a helmet forged by the Cyclopes, a helm of invisibility, became the unseen force who turned the tide. With the helmet, he moved through the battlefield undetected, striking where the Titans least expected. His presence became a strategic weapon, allowing the Olympians to breach fortresses, infiltrate defences and dismantle the Titan army from within. When the Titans were defeated, the entire universe needed to be divided. Zeus, Poseidon and Hades cast lots to determine their realms. Zeus received the sky, Poseidon received the sea, and Hades received the underworld, the domain of the dead. This distribution was not a punishment. It was not exile. It was one of 3 equal thrones in a newly organised cosmos. Hades descended to take command of a vast realm that had existed since the dawn of creation, but had never known a true ruler. What Hades found was nothing like the modern image of a blazing hell. His dominion was structured, layered, and governed by ancient laws. The asphodel meadows for ordinary lives, the fields of punishment for those judged by their actions, the Elysian fields for the virtuous and heroic, and deeper still, Tartarus, a primordial abyss predating the gods. Hades did not craft this system, he refined it. His rule brought order to a realm that had long been a chaotic passage between life and death. Unlike Zeus and Poseidon, Hades rarely left his domain. His responsibilities demanded constancy, and he stayed to manage the endless flow of souls. His presence in myths is less frequent because he did not walk among mortals or wage wars across the world. His role was foundational, not disruptive. Without him, the cycle of life and death would collapse. This distance from both gods and mortals is one of the reasons his reputation grew distorted over time. In his domain, Hades enforced a fundamental law: souls could not return to the living world. This rule defined his authority. Every story involving him, directly or indirectly, revolves around the tension created when the boundary between life and death is challenged, and that boundary would soon be tested. Because the next part of Hades' story introduces the event that reshaped his legacy forever: the abduction, the marriage, the emergence of a queen. Among all the myths connected to Hades, none is more central or more controversial than the story of Persephone. Her arrival in the underworld transformed not only his realm, but how the ancient world interpreted life, death, and the turning of the seasons. To understand Hades, we must understand this moment. Persephone, daughter of Demeter, lived in the world above, one of the few beings who embodied the vitality of growing things. As the myths recount, Hades saw her in the fields of Nysa and decided she would become queen of the underworld. Accounts of this event differ across regions and centuries. Some depict it as an arranged union approved by Zeus. Others describe a sudden abduction. Despite the variations, what remains consistent is that Persephone's role reshaped the underworld forever. Her presence brought structure to its halls, symmetry to its rituals, and a counterpart to Hades' authority. When Persephone vanished, Demeter scoured the earth, seeking answers. As the goddess of agriculture, her absence from her duties caused crops to fail and the world to grow barren. The world entered its first great famine. The crisis forced the Olympians to intervene. Mortals could not survive without Demeter's return, and Demeter would not restore the lands until she found her daughter. This search marked one of the rare moments when the world above directly challenged the boundaries of the underworld. Zeus sent Hermes to negotiate Persephone's return, but ancient laws govern the underworld. Any soul that consumed its food became bound to it. Persephone had eaten pomegranate seeds, a small act with immense consequences. The solution required balance. It was agreed that Persephone would divide her time, a portion of the year in the world above with Demeter, a portion of the year in the underworld as its queen. This cycle became the origin of the seasons: growth when she returns, decline when she descends. Hades did not lose a queen, and Demeter did not lose a daughter. The cosmos gained a rhythm. With Persephone beside him, Hades' realm became a structured civilization. Souls entering the underworld passed before three judges: Minos, Rhadamanthus, Aeacus. These figures determined where each soul belonged. Their judgments were based not on loyalty to gods, nor social standing, but on the deeds of a mortal's life. Hades did not decide individual fates. He upheld the results. His role was to maintain the order that allowed the system to function. One of the clearest examples of Hades' authority came through the myth of Sisyphus. The king deceived the gods repeatedly and even attempted to escape death itself. At one point, he locked Thanatos, preventing mortals from dying. The world fell into imbalance until Ares intervened. When Sisyphus finally reached the underworld, his punishment matched the nature of his crimes. Endless efforts without progress. This was not cruelty from Hades, it was the result of divine law, a system Sisyphus had tried to evade. Another challenge to the underworld's laws came from Orpheus, the musician whose skill moved even stone. He entered Hades' realm in search of his wife, Eurydice. His song shifted the silence of the underworld and reached the thrones of Hades and Persephone. They granted him a rare exception. Eurydice could return if Orpheus walked forward without looking back. The condition was simple, the law was clear, and yet the boundary was broken when Orpheus turned before they reached the sunlight. Eurydice remained a shade. This myth reinforced a central principle of Hades' rule. The living and the dead inhabit distinct worlds. Two heroes once attempted to seize a bride from the underworld itself. Theseus and Pirithous descended with the intention of taking Persephone. Their act violated the highest boundaries of divine law. They were halted, restrained, and held in a state of suspension until Heracles later freed Theseus alone. Pirithous remained where he had placed himself, inside a realm no mortal had the right to invade. The story stands as a reminder that the underworld was not a kingdom to be trespassed. Heracles entered the underworld during his 12th labour. Unlike others who challenged Hades, he came not to overthrow, deceive, or abduct, but to request the guardian Cerberus. Hades permitted it, with a condition. Cerberus must be taken without the use of weapons. Heracles agreed and succeeded. This moment is one of the few interactions where Hades directly engages a hero, demonstrating that his opposition is not to mortals, but to disorder. Throughout Greek mythology, Hades appears less frequently than the other gods, not because he lacked power, but because his responsibilities required constancy. His realm was not a battlefield, nor a sky wide open for travel. It was the foundation beneath the world, and it required a steady hand. Chaos in the underworld would mean chaos in life. Hades' distance made him mysterious. That mystery gave rise to misunderstandings. Over centuries, cultures outside Greece reshaped Hades into a figure resembling evil, an idea never present in the original myths. Hades did not tempt souls, punish them personally, or seek their suffering. He did not command fire, wield torture, or desire destruction. He presided over balance. He preserved boundaries. He maintained the structure that kept the world living. His realm was not a place of torment. It was a necessary part of the universe. In Greek belief, Hades was not avoided because he was malevolent, but because he represented the inevitability all mortals faced. To speak his name casually was to acknowledge that inevitability too directly. He became the god whose presence marked transition, not terror. To understand Hades is to understand that his story is not one of darkness, but of structure, not of cruelty, but of necessity, not of villainy, but of responsibility. Hades did not seek conquest. He did not wage campaigns. He accepted his role in the cosmic order and carried it out with consistency unmatched by any other god. His story is not about death, it is about the rules that allow life to continue. This is the truth of Hades, a ruler without rebellion, a god without chaos, a presence without malice, the one Olympian who never asked for power, yet became the foundation of the world.